shared a lot of same thoughts. Oh. Pause.
If my mom were here, she'd be like, visitor. Who is it?
Yeah. All right, Regina in the building.
Hello. Oh no. Probably should not do that.
All right, so let's. Okay, so you were born in Hawaii.
Yep.
Grew up in Texas.
Yep.
Now you're in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I kind of just want to. First, it's really cool that you're born in Hawaii. How long did you live there again?
Till I was 8.
Yeah. And so, question for you. We're just jumping into it. So you grew up in Texas. You had a mentor. Is that correct?
I'm like, which one?
Oh, okay. The one that kind of, I watched an interview that you did where you said that they advised you to leave Texas.
Oh,
acting.
yes. Yeah. I met her at a CBS Diversity Initiative thing.
That's what it was.
Yes, yeah. And she was like, okay, you're in, like, Texas is great. I'm doing a bunch of commercials and industrials. And then she's like, if you really want to work on the big stuff, you got to move to Atlanta. Because she lived in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. And then I kind of did some research and I was like, okay, this might be, actually, my research was like, are there shows in Atlanta? I am not a good research person.
So you're like, 1, 2, move.
Yes. So it like took a year just to get my ducks in a row and kind of like honestly emotionally be ready to move because I'm so close to my family. And even though I lived in a different city than them, it was still within Texas. So it was a big, it was a big jump to go to a whole other state. And I would be so far away from them because I used to visit them every weekend. And then when it was like a 3-hour drive to home, I would visit every other weekend. And now it's like you're going to a whole other state where you're over 17 hours away drive time wise. It's like, it was big.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of like work up to it and then make the move.
Yeah. So you've actually had a pretty successful career as an actress.
Successful.
Yeah. Well, you're on Stranger Things. I'm going to read your credits here. Stranger Things, Black Adam, Queen of the South, Spider-Man No Way Home, and that's just to name a few. So my question for you, and John and I were actually talking about this probably a couple weeks ago. Prior to moving to Georgia, right, which clearly was a wonderful move for you, did you have any thoughts or considerations at all when it came to leaving Texas? Or were you kind of set in, you want to be an actress in Texas? And if you did think about it, like, what was your process?
Like, as in
prior to your mentor telling you to move?
Oh. So as how I operate in most things in my life, I don't really think ahead that much.
Okay.
I just know, like, only because some people will say it's like the fear of success or failure, whichever one it is. Mm-hmm. But I think it's more, I leave, let me think about how to phrase this. I don't know what will happen, so I just keep grinding. I keep learning and I keep talking to people and like seeing where I can go, what I can do now to grow in like the acting technique wise, in the career itself. Should I be involved in the indie world? Should I be shooting all these commercials or going to workshops more? So I just kind of just kept doing things, but always moving forward with it, but not specifically with like a target in mind.
Interesting.
But it's weird because, in so many things, it's like you should have a goal so you have direction. Mm-hmm. But I operate better with just, I don't have specific goals. I just know I got to work hard and then see where that takes me. That works for me. I don't know if it works for most everyone else, but it just does. Yeah. So anyway, so the mindset before was like I was doing, how did I get my start? So I was scouted to model in Texas. This is a long time ago. And then I found an agent and they were like, you should take some acting classes so you can like do some commercial work and whatnot. And then, just even that alone, getting scouted, then doing some shows and then having an agent is
no, to keep
okay. I was like, did I screw something up? Let me know. And then an agent telling me to take a class. I was like, okay, you told me to take a class, so I'll take a class. And then I started taking Meisner classes. That's what I'm trained in. And then I go from there to taking workshops through the class, and then from there hearing about the diversity initiative and then signing up. So it's like I just follow wherever I'm thrown. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try it. Even if it fails, I'm just gonna keep trying it. So that was probably my mindset. And then I had like an open mind. So if someone like suggested something, I'd be like, okay. And something so big as moving to another state when I was so attached. I'm a good Chinese granddaughter, but my grandparents raised me, so it's like they're my everything. How that was the longest I had to take to jump on something new, just because, you know, like distance from them was hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would say, I hope that all made sense, like mindset wise.
Yeah.
I just keep falling forward, hoping that it'll take me in the right direction. Yeah.
No, I love that, because I again, John will ask me questions and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really think about it. Like, I guess I kind of refer to it as ignorance is bliss in a sense, to where for me, when I was younger, the whole, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Like, that's a stupid question. Like, I was like, don't ask me that. I hate that question. You know what I mean? Now as we're older, it makes sense, you know, but I feel like we're similar in that way of just kind of doing and taking the steps forward, you know, with boundaries, of course. You know, we're not just going to do anything. But so
you learn along the way, like, or at least, you know, I'm not the smartest person, but at least I know if something's failing, I'll be like, okay, that's not working. I'm going to push that aside. But whereas some people will just try everything and then like never let go, not be able to discern when it's time to, like, that's not a fit for me, you know, go this route. Or even if in acting, there's so many techniques. It's not for everyone, nor should one person like have all of them, in my opinion. You have to find what works for you. But there are people who will like just take every class there is or whatever. And I've been that person. Like, I want to learn, but it's like, in order to, what is it? Like, you can't spread yourself thin. Sorry, so close. I almost licked it. I'm so sorry. I did not touch it. I promise. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? There's so many things wrong with me, goddess. Oh my God. Okay, wait, back on track. Hold on.
You can't spread yourself too thin.
Spread yourself too thin. Yeah, because you can't. I mean, you can if you want, but even so, pick one or two things that you want to, you know, optimize and maximize your time on. Get really good at those, and then explore the other things. But I think that's key. And you and I get along well because of this. We're like, okay, we'll try anything, but like, let's just find the couple things that work and then like go for those first, instead of just doing all of it. Because it's not realistic for any field, not just acting, any field.
Now, if a new actor or actress came up to you and was like, Regina, what classes should I take? How many classes should I take? What, you know, should I do a scene study class or script analysis? Should I do improv? Should I do Meisner? Should I do, you know, like, what would you say to them? I
would say take a bunch of intro classes and then see what feels right.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every actor has their own process, and I know we've talked about it, and you know, because we've shared auditions for the same stuff, which has been so cool to watch. Because it's like, oh, okay, cool. It's like, even though we, you know, would break the script down, I'm trying to say this word, similarly, it was like it still had a different take, and I think it's because we're different people. But then also, our process within itself is different as far as like how we get to the end. Of the scene, the audition. So it's interesting.
And I would even say, for someone new, I wish someone told me this sooner, when you have other actors, especially as you move up and you get better and better, and it's like someone is as good as you as far as skill and train wise, don't look at them as your enemy or your competition. It's just, they are them, they're unique, and you are you. There's no another. Gissette. I was trying to remember. I call you goddess. That's your nickname too. So I was like, there's no other goddess, but that's true. And then there's no other me, you know? So it's not like you're enemies. It's not like you're at war with each other. It's just whatever is a fit at the end. But someone told me that a long time ago, and I was like, wow, it released me from all this pressure of fighting. Like, fighting in a sense of like, you know, you're trying to make it. You're trying to climb up, whatever term you want to use, but instead just focus on yourself and your work and be as authentic as you can, and the rest will just fall into place however they should. But the seeing your peers as just
competition.
Yeah, it's not healthy. And you can't build trust. Like, community is already so hard in this industry. So I really value people like you. Oh my God, I'm gonna get emotional. It's like you there's mutual respect and an understanding of the craft, because it's so hard already. This line of work, it's like, we're crazy, we're choosing it, but it's so beautiful. But if you approach it with like a like a hostile mindset or like a competitive, it's not sustainable for the long term, and it's not healthy.
I was gonna say, it's not healthy.
Yeah, it's not meant. You can't. I mean, it might be sustainable. You can last a long time, but you'll be miserable as fuck.
Yeah, you'll be miserable, and you'll also burn out.
Yeah,
because you're constant. It's like you're strangling. The whole situation.
Or you can see it, I think, in performances. If there's like desperation, or like, I know people who are like, oh, I know a friend who also had this like audition. Like, they'll probably get it, and it's like you've already shot yourself in the. Shot yourself in the foot? Is that this English phrase?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, it's not another body part, right? Anyway, shot yourself in the foot because it comes through. You've lost the whole purpose is just to make this scene come to life, the character come to life. And now you're worried about somebody else got it, you know?
I think too. I think even if they're, because I mean, at the end of the day, we're human, right? Yep. Like, especially when we're, you're like, that's questionable.
I'm an alien. Possibly a Time Lord. That's Doctor Who reference.
50.
Anyway.
Never know these days. The aliens are coming. But especially for a new actor, right? Because I've said this on a previous podcast. One of the best advice that I had received starting off in my career was, when you do an audition, let it go. Right? Easier said than done. You know, especially because this industry tends to attract a certain kind of person. You know, you are a little insecure, especially in the beginning. You want validation. You want to fit in. You want to create. You want people to see your creativity and accept it. And you know, you just want to be a part of something amazing. So there is, you know, times where you're gonna see somebody and think, oh man, I wish I had that. Or, oh, how many auditions are they getting? Or, oh, what are they booking? You know, again, especially at the beginning of your career, when you're just like clawing your way through the jungle and trying to get as many auditions as you can, as many credits as you can, and trying to build your career until you get to a point where you're like, oh, I can breathe. And then you get there, and then you got to do it all over again to climb up. You know what I mean?
It doesn't end.
And so point being, it's like, even if you do see somebody as a competition, it's better to maybe, at least this helps for me, like when I see somebody where I'm like, oh man, okay, cool, how did she book that? Okay, let me look up her stuff. You know, you like dig into the research of who that person is, and you're like, oh, okay, this is what they did, this is what worked for them. Can I learn something from that? Versus like, ugh, whatever. You know what I mean? Versus,
attitude is everything.
And then you said something else.
I say a lot of things.
I know. What was it? It'll pop back up. But so when you left Texas, you mentioned something about being a good Chinese granddaughter and daughter. Do you feel like culturally, do you think your culture affected your choices coming into the industry? Or do you feel like
I mean, choosing the career, or like how I performed in the beginning?
Both.
Oh my God, girl. I used to perform like the Chinese shows, and that was not good. Like, everything like in the Chinese soap operas is so dramatic. Like, how could you? You know, like kind of like telenovelas.
Yeah, I was gonna say telenovela.
I did that in the beginning thinking that was really good acting. And it's like, here they're just, I don't even like bless the casting directors that kept giving me a shot. And I used to do this thing where it's like, if it's a dramatic role, I did loud whispering, like, how could you? Like, instead of like being super grounded. But anyway, that like Chinese, and not all Chinese shows are like that. It's just the Cantonese shows, TVB, that I grew up with. A lot of the acting for some of the characters that like I remember are bigger, you know? So, and I didn't understand at the time like any technique or anything like that. And it's a whole different culture there versus here, and just like anywhere else, any other country. And then as far as choosing the career, of course, like I'm pretty sure my family still doesn't acknowledge it as my life career choice. It's like, oh, that's a cool thing, hobby you do. Like, I have an aunt who is still like, well, did you make sure your day job is good still? Like, you still have it, right? And, you know, that's everyone's story. I feel like it's not just my Chinese culture. It's like everyone goes through that. But at first it hurt. And now I'm just like, that's their choice to not see it as what I love and am doing and will continue to do till the day I die. Like that, I've had to learn almost as a life experience thing, like to just push that aside. I have to push all other people's views of me aside. It's no disrespect to them. It's not that I don't care about them. It's like that does not affect how I see myself. That is the most important hands down for anything. But it took a lot of time to get to that point because then, attracting the certain type of people in this industry, it's like you're seeking validation constantly. But the most important validation you need is from yourself.
I love that. You're good.
I touched it. Okay.
I touched the button.
You're going to have to spray this shit down. Okay.
No, you're good. But I love what you said too, because you said that's a lot of people's stories. Because I mean, culturally, yes, there are some people that experience it maybe on a different level. But just overall, when somebody says, I'm going to be an actor, I'd be like, okay. Are you also going to finish your job? Are you going to pursue, are you going to college? Because people don't see it as like a serious, they like the idea of it. Like, ooh, Hollywood glitz and glamour. Yeah. But then if it's somebody close to you, you're like, just be careful, because I've had somebody say that to me before when I was dancing and acting.
Who? I'm gonna mess them up. You tell me, girl. I will fuck them.
But yeah, just that same thing of like, okay, so how's your job going? I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah,
that's not my goal. But
also, I think people like people who are not in the industry, they think of actors as the famous people and that's it. They don't think, and not that they don't know there's a world of other actors, like supporting and all the way down to background, but they don't think about that. I feel like they're just like, you're either famous or you kind of exist, but no one thinks about it. But there's the whole world of working actors that make a story come to life. And the famous people are just like, this much. And then everything else, it's like, at least from what I've experienced, like when people get to know me and I tell them about the industry, they're like, wow, there's so much to it that we don't know.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. I love that. So you mentioned earlier too, I think, or maybe I'm just making it up because I'm reading it, the importance of having the right people around you. So you had your mentor who told you to leave Texas. Do you feel you would have made that same choice if she wouldn't have been in your life at some point, whether it be that year or 3 years down the road?
Maybe. I don't know the answer to that. I think it depends on who I meet. I feel that, like I said earlier, like I don't plan things ahead. I kind of keep grinding forward and then see who I run into along the way. And if someone else, so I guess eventually, yes, it just may not have been Atlanta. It may be LA or New York or someone that I run into and respect is like, hey, you should try this. It will help you. And if I'm able to get a sense that they mean that and it's not like someone who's just giving shitty advice to everybody because they think they know their shit. Like, I think eventually I would have done it, but it just depends on who I come across. And I've had mentors in, the different aspects of my life who have been so kind to, share some of their insight. And it's only led me to where I am. And I'm very happy where I am. I'm still growing. But so I guess to answer your question, yes, I would have. It just not sure if it would have been Atlanta. It just depends.
Yeah. My when I graduated high school, my mom goes, okay, do you want to move to New York or Atlanta? I was like, Atlanta, right? Most people would be like, why?
Yeah.
But for me, for some reason, there was something in my mind where I was like, okay, there's less competition in Atlanta.
And it's true. Yeah.
Well,
it was true.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was also coming for dancing.
Oh, yeah.
So, New York is like Broadway, musical theater. Like everybody's been dancing since they were out of the womb, you know? And so, but point being, it was my mother who made that choice, which I love because I was like you, right? Like I was just kind of, maybe in my late teens, early 20s, I feel like I was more of kind of like floating in the wind. not necessarily set goals. I had morals. I knew what I didn't want to do and what I did want to do, but I was also just kind of like, okay, what's over here? Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. Okay, cool. This is paid. Okay, I'll do that. And just kind of like seeing where it goes. But I only say that to add in, again, the importance of the people around you. Because even though it's my mother, it's like, there's people that grow up in homes where their family isn't supportive, right? And they kind of have to figure out their own choice or go through this, hosh posh of individuals that just suck to get to, where they want to come, where they want to be. And so you mentioned you've had a few mentors, right? Is that something that you looked for, or is it something that just kind of fell into your lap?
Oh, totally just fell into my lap. I feel really lucky that these people have, I guess, spotted me, or however you want to put it, and thought she could use some advice. Now that I say it out loud, it's like they're probably like, oh my God, she needs help. That's probably what it is. I'm kind of a dit sometimes, so it's like, ooh, she's going down the wrong path. But if you can probably tell, if you met me, you're like, okay, she may not know what she's doing, but she's got heart, right? I always put heart into everything I do, stupidly, for too long sometimes. Okay, but anyway, they could see that and just chose to present themselves and like be like, hey, you should try this. Like, it wasn't like they came up to me and said, I want to be your mentor. Right. It was just very organic and was like, hey, you should try this, or you should look into, I don't know, doing shows here, or I can't even think of an example right now. But I think the idea of mentors and mentees is too small. I would love to encourage more of that. And I participate in volunteering groups, like to help foster kids and other kids, like everyone. I don't care where you're from. You could use a little advice, and people like feel maybe they're not ready to give advice or something, or like they're not at a certain point in their lives that they're qualified. But I don't think there's ever you're there. You're always evolving and growing. But I feel lucky that there are people who felt at least confident enough to be like, hey, this girl could use some of my mentoring to maybe help her get to the next step. And that's why, like, I love sharing what I do or my experiences with other people, so then maybe they can pursue something, or if they see someone who needs help, they could share a little bit of insight and pay it forward, because it's it can literally change the course of someone's life if you just mention one little thing. Like, okay, this is not acting related, but this is like, I graduated college with school debt, and I was paying the monthly payment. Never in my, oh my God, I hope it didn't peak. Never in my life would I think that you could pay more than just the minimum. I just didn't think about that. And then someone was like, just threw it out there, was like, hey, you can, like, if you make a little more money, just put more towards it, and you could pay less in interest in the long run. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's all they had to say. And I paid off all my school debt within 2 years. I mean, I made everything I made, I put towards it. But it was just one little thing just unlocked something new, and then it freed me from debt. Yeah. In that, I mean, I still have a car, the normal things, but yeah. So I these mentors just kind of came into mind. They come and go too. There are seasons, like you're saying, seasons for them, but it's a beautiful thing, because timing is everything.
Yeah. I think that's key too, because we've talked about it on Marco, as far as a performer and as an actor, there are seasons, and also we've clarified that seasons doesn't necessarily mean summertime, right? Like 2 months. Yeah. Seasons can mean a year. It can mean 3 years. It's just a moment in your life. And so there is a benefit of having those mentors that come and go, because, and this is just my opinion, like, you can have one set mentor, and as long as that mentor has that growth mindset and wants you to be the same, then you guys can kind of grow together and kind of flesh out those seasons and those moments together. But that's also a rare find, I feel like. And so, there is a pro of having those mentors that come and go, because you're not always going to be ready to hear what Joe Schmo has to say because you're in this season in your life. And then Emily Lou may come in and say something that just matches the moment that you're in. And then you guys connect. And then she's like, all right, she like flutters away into the wind. You know what I mean? If that's making sense.
Yeah.
Now I'm over here licking the microphone.
We'll just, that's the thing we do. Like, oh, that's inappropriate. Stop, Regina. HR high. Sorry, I make that joke at kickboxing all the time.
Oh my gosh. But I love that though. Yeah, it's, and then I have also, we've talked about it John and I've talked about it, like internet mentors. Like that is a plus of YouTube. Because I'll listen to, and I've mentioned this to you before, as far as like listening to Viola Davis or you know Meryl Streep, and just kind of hearing those nuggets of information that they share in an interview, and I'm like, oh, okay, great. Now I'm best friends with Viola Davis. Yeah.
Hey girl, what's up? You just like wave at the YouTube.
I know.
It's me again.
Good morning. But in that moment, you know what I mean? That like she is the internet mentor for me. That's what I like to say. And I'm like, oh, cool. Wow, man, that's really good. And you know, I brought it up before with Kate Winslet, as far as her saying like actors can't teach other actors. I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. You know, it's just like these nuggets of information that are always beneficial.
There's also bad mentors.
Yes.
So I don't want to say, like, I feel lucky for the mentors that have come into my life, but there have been bad ones. They're not bad as in they were malicious or something like that. Like, they all intend to help, but the advice was not good for me. And I still took some of it. It's just took me some time for me to realize, okay, that's not a fit. So I have to like kind of create a boundary and remove that from me. So that happens too. But without that, you won't know the good ones either. So it's a yin yang thing.
Yeah. Pros and cons of everything. So now that we got your resume out of the way,
we barely talked about it, but I love that.
I'm kidding. So I want you to share your experience on Stranger Things, because I know I'm sure you get this question all the time, as far as Counselor Kelly and kind of playing that character. For you as a performer, and this is just to share insight of being on a set, what was it like? Like, what was your process? I always say that as actors, we're like vessels for these characters. So what was your process to get into that character, especially it being set in a certain time period? Like, did you feel you had to study that time period to figure out mannerisms? Like, what was your...
Well, I probably should study the time period now that you've brought that up. See, you're like a mentor to me. I should have done that. No, I don't really think about time period too much. I just think about like which version of me plays Counselor Kelly, and it's like the quirkier one. So I usually, like, there are times where I feel kind of like, I don't know, kind of nutty sometimes. And I am freer with my physicality, like my hands, they move. I feel everything I feel, my hands flow with it. So if I feel like I need to be compassionate with you right now, my hands will eventually naturally come here. Not eventually, naturally. If I feel like I need to reach you, like my hands will start coming towards you. But I would say my process, know your lines, basic stuff. But then I'm someone, like, my way of performing, like, I run on instinct. So I do like to not over prepare the scene. I just show up and I'm familiar with everything and what I need to do. And if the director tells me hit these points, go ahead. But other than that, I just do it and see what happens. And then I get a redirect or a note, like, try playing this scene more like an aunt, or like a teacher who doesn't care, or like a counselor who cares too much. And I'll just like switch it on the fly. But I never pre-plan it, and I just have to trust that whatever instinctually comes to mind in the moment, it'll just work. That's how I do it. I know it's different for everybody, but the whole preparing for the era was, I didn't have to do any work for that, essentially, because it was so real. Like, I felt like I was sucked back into time, and my outfit, my hair, that took so long. It was my hair, and they just like, oh my God, one of the days I showed up and I had tried, I'm so stupid. Don't try new conditioners while you're on set. So I bought this like Australian kangaroo. It's not made out of kangaroo. It was just they had a kangaroo symbol.
Oh, is it
on
Aussie?
Is it? Yeah. It's a purple.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to make your hair really like healthy and shiny, but like it was bad because it wouldn't hold the curls. So I showed up and they're like, "What happened to your hair? This didn't happen yesterday. You know, it couldn't hold." And they had to like just have like a curling iron on set heated. So every time they like yelled cut, they would come in and recurl the stuff and just spray. There's one girl, I swear, I don't even know where she was hiding. She was probably under me. It was like they would yell cut and she would and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot her name. It's been so long now. I'm really good with names usually, but I'm really good with names usually, but like she would just appear and just spray it. So anyway, that's not an acting note, but I think it's important. Don't try a new conditioner when you're filming something. Either try it right before or after, but not during, because this is screw up the hair.
I think that's a good note though, right? Like, don't try any new facial products.
No. Oh,
hair
definitely
products,
not. Yeah.
Skin products before headshots, before filming.
Yeah. It was, yeah. But yeah, so I would say that's kind of what I went in thinking, feeling, and prepping.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you feel like it's different for each character, or do you feel like that's kind of like your base, and then based on the character, you just add on top of it if needed?
Yeah, I think that's my process for everything. I just know which version of me is this character, and then they can tell me if they like it or not.
Yeah,
I
love that.
Yeah, ask for forgiveness, not permission. Yeah, that's usually how I operate. I just go. I don't even think about it. I just do, and then sometimes doing is really bad, and then they're like, "Okay, do it this way."
Oh, go ahead.
No, there's one shoot I did for Watchmen, and I only had like a couple lines in it. But oh my God, I did like 30 takes because they were like, okay, try this like friendly. Okay, a little friendlier. Okay, a little friendlier than that. And then I didn't know I could do like 20 versions of friendly. And then 20 versions of like, I don't care about this. That was the most interesting. So it's like I went in with the same process, the same prep, but at some point, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just doing. Couldn't even think about it. That was a weird one. But it was fun. It was a good experience.
I feel that's good though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's scary.
Yeah.
But when you get to that point, I feel like, I don't know what I just did.
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah. I literally can't remember if that was the same or not. And then I'm like, do you even like me as a human? Then I start questioning, you know, I usually don't have that. Like I'm confident in myself, like I'm secure in myself. But when you have to do it that many times, I'm like, did I fail you? Like, is it dishonor to my family? Well, not my family, to myself. Like, you know, like, I'm so sorry. And then he was like, great job. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
And then you like go in your trailer and like cry for a week.
I'm like confused.
Do you like me as a human? I love that. Do you feel like the things that you've experienced in your life help as far as, or do you feel like your life experiences help you as a performer when it comes to your process, as far as, because you use the example, okay, play it more like an aunt, right? Mm-hmm. And I know you shared stories about your family. Is that something that you kind of pull from, or is it just, do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah. Oh my God, life experience is the best, not the best, but one of the key components to good acting, I think. Because you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. So I'm not saying you gotta go kill somebody to know how to be a serial killer for a role.
But we have those thoughts, right? In a non-psychopathic way.
Yes.
I mean, some people are psychopathic, but we think that, right? Like, oh, like you just get that rage, and not saying you'll act on it, but as a human, you have this, you know, what is it that they call it? The wheel of emotions or something like that. You just have all of these. And like you said,
we got a dark side.
Yeah.
We all got a dark side.
Right. Exactly. That's the duality of life, you know, light and dark. But then you said it yourself when you were doing Watchmen that you didn't know you had those, you know, that many forms of happiness and joy inside of you. But it's true, right? Because getting happy seeing a puppy is different than getting happy when you get a chocolate bar. You know, it's like two.
I'm so hungry.
I was like, are you hungry, Regina?
I'm so hungry.
So that happiness is different than when you book a role, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just wanted to go ahead.
You said the happiness is different from when you book a role. Okay, so when I first booked my first co-star role, you know, it's just a reporter role. I didn't know how the emails should look, you know, so I thought it was spam. I deleted it. My agent was like, congrats, you booked this. here's your dates. And he like screenshotted it for some reason. So it looked like, okay, it's not totally my fault. It looked like it could be spam. Yeah. So I was like, I looked at it and I was like, oh man, now they're sending spam like this stuff. They're just like messing with actors. Like, it's already hard enough as it is. And then my agent was like, can you confirm if you can do this? I was like, and then I responded, is this real?
Oh my god. Was this
like,
go ahead.
he was like, yes. Are you confirmed? I was like, oh, yes. Yay! I booked my first one. All I want is one a year. Yay!
Was that for Dynasty?
No, that's for Black Lightning.
Oh, Black Lightning.
Yeah.
Oh, but you played a reporter on Dynasty,
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's so funny. I didn't realize it. John pointed it out. He was like, didn't you play a reporter on Dynasty? I was like, I did.
Everybody plays a reporter on Dynasty. Hey, I will take the credits. It's good experience, you know. Oh my God, on Dynasty. So they like got everyone's coverage, and then it's my turn. And it's my first like really long reporter, like more dialogue than I've ever been used to. And they're like, okay, and rolling. Action. And I'm like, line. And the lead had to give me the line.
Oh my God.
But then once I got going, it was one take, and he was like, we got it, moving on. And I'm like, wait, hold on. I only got to do it one time.
I'm just feeling loose, guys. What's going on here?
But like the footage that's on my reel, that was only one take. I only got one take.
But it's good though, right? I mean, you know.
Yeah, but it was so embarrassing. Like I'm like, line to the lead, and she gives it to me. So
she's probably like, oh my gosh.
yeah, but that for them, they're just like, I don't even know how they do it. Like, there's so much dialogue in their stuff. I think they just kind of like day of hope to get most of it.
They're like, what am I saying?
Yeah,
cool.
line.
So ish.
They're also like line. That
Yeah.
like that's so normal.
Yeah, which is great, and that's something that I enjoyed seeing on the last project that we can't speak of that we did together for NBA reasons. But I enjoyed seeing, you know, the number 1s, 2s, and 3s also calling for a line and or also like flubbing a line because it's like, oh, okay, it happens, right? Nobody's perfect. Not even.
There's so much going on.
Yeah,
so much going on.
You have light, directors, extras, co-stars, you know, green screens, you know, depending on the kind of film or TV show, you have explosions and stunts and you know what I mean? Like loud music, everything just going on around you. And so that's one thing that I enjoyed seeing as an actor. And I think that's something that a lot of performers should know and like should take pride in, as far as, I don't know if pride's the right word, but as far as knowing that it's gonna happen. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
I remember it was an indie film, but I remember doing it and I was like joking around, right? And then as soon as they were like, all right, action, I was like, I literally just looked at camera. I'm sorry. Like,
I have no idea.
It was like my first take, and I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I just cut to camera. That was a rookie move. And after that, my confidence just went. I was like, all right, don't joke around on set. Got it. I'm joking, but so yeah, I mean, it happens. I think that's a great story.
Yeah.
To tell people, because some people, especially, again, like you said earlier, do you like me as a human? Because when you're on set, we're so vulnerable as actors.
Oh, yeah.
And especially if it is a vulnerable role. I mean, it's always vulnerable, right? Because like I said, we're vessels to these characters. We're like, our self is taking a back seat and we're giving, you know, so-and-so this moment to shine. You know, as crazy as that sounds. But it's like, with that, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it, but with that, I feel like I'm so sensitive to everything that's going on, and we have to create these methods to not be so sensitive to the things around us, but also still be sensitive for our character. But with that, it comes that moment of like, oh fuck, I just messed up the line. Okay, do they still like me? Am I still, are they gonna fire me?
Yeah. Are
they gonna cut my scenes? Are they gonna cut all my scenes? Am I coming back tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like just all those things. But
all those questions come in like a second's worth of time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like right before you're about to go.
Yeah. And then you just have to have the discipline to be like, shh.
Yeah. Which
gonna do.
Yeah. Which kind of segues into some other stuff that I want to talk to you about. Is your personal mindset and just your way of thinking. Because I know you said, and I know we've shared a lot of same thoughts, Oh. Pause. Pause.
If my mom were here, she'd be like, visitor. Who is it?
I know. Can we keep
And then she will say, it's your uncle. What do you want?
Oh my God.
Follow the light. Follow the light's back on. 100% she would do that.
Oh my God. We have to keep that in. Amazing. Visitor. Yeah.
It's your uncle. You know the bow smell. The red bean bun. Okay. It's so true. I'm not even making this shit up.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Okay. I need to breathe. All right. And we're back on. But continue.
I forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about how all those thoughts just like creep in within seconds.
You're asking me about mindset. You mean like
yes.
about
Yeah,
what
that's we're talking about.
specifically? So that I know how to.
Because you were saying when those thoughts creep in, you also have to have the, I don't know, knowledge or strength or ideas to just be like, shh.
Oh yeah.
Right. And not a lot of people have that.
Oh yeah.
So
how did I get to that point? I would think about this recently, and I don't really know how I arrived here, but as far as being able to shut those, I think it's all the, like, if you take any kind of fitness class or any kind of community thing and you have a good leader and they'll like basically without, we just think of coaches or fitness classes or exercise. Someone says, keep going. Don't worry about the negative stuff. They're just shouting inspirational things. But if you really apply those, they really help in situations like these. Like, something I love to say, I'm a kickboxing coach. So like when someone does a really good roundhouse or something and they're like, and they kicked too hard and they're like, they say, so sorry. And I always say, don't apologize for being amazing. Like, but I know it's just me sounding dramatic to them, but if someone needed to hear that in that moment, they'll carry that with them and be like, I am amazing. I did good today and I shouldn't feel bad for it. Mm-hmm. So that also translates over to other things that you do and you're just doing your best. And so you have to just forgive yourself. And if you screw up something, that example was like when I have a new person, like throw a strike and it's too, it's not like perfect, obviously. There's no perfect. It's just they're not doing it like because they're new at it. I still also say, there's the sorry I screwed it up. I'm like, don't apologize for trying. Mm-hmm. Don't apologize for being amazing. I still say that because that's how it applies here. Like, okay, you screwed up once. Don't live in that space. You'll never move forward. Oh, what is it? I think it was Atomic Habits, that book. I don't read a lot. I'm dyslexic. But this book, I had to read it for work. And there was something, it's like the difference between like, what do they call it? Like, it's not someone successful, but it's people who fail once and then they fail twice again. The difference is the person who can get back up. I mean, I'm explaining that so poorly. I need to find it because it was well said. But
keep talking. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it was in
Atomic Habits.
Yeah, I probably wrote it down somewhere. I feel like I want to find it.
I got it here. Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Okay. Because I know it's in my like checklist of because I wrote that down. Hold on. We could put a pause on this podcast right now because we have to resort to our tech. And search for I don't know what kind of accent. I should just stick to Chinese accent.
But that's a good point, though. We'll keep finding it, but the idea of just that small difference. Go ahead.
Oh my God, there's so many good things from here. Okay, so this one is when successful people fail, they rebound quickly because you don't give yourself time to. The problem is that when we do something wrong, we like dwell in it. We live in that space forever. But the time you take to live in that space is time you're taking away from rebounding and just trying again. Because just because you made that mistake, the good thing is you learned from that. Well, hopefully. But the second time you do, okay, I won't do it that way.
Right.
And you'll just, that's the only way to make a discovery of something better for you that works for you. But if you don't make that first mistake or second or 10th, you're never going to get there. Like, so I think that's the mindset. It's like, you know, if I screw up on set or even in an audition, flub a line, whatever, keep going. Or if they say restart, cool, let it go.
Right.
Don't, we all will dwell and think, but we have to override that. But that is an active, it's an active like thought that you have to, what am I saying? It's not natural. Like we have to push past it. And it takes our own voice to shut that down. Because some people will be like, oh, Regina, like, you're so good at just powering through. It's not that I'm so good or you're so lucky you can be so positive. It's not luck. It's not, I'm good at it now, but it took work.
Yeah.
If you saw where I came from before and like the grind, the everyday of being like, no, let it go. You just got to survive. And some childhood stuff is like, you just got to survive. Then you learn, you get into the practice of like, okay, I fucked up. Fine. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
You know, go ahead.
Yeah, no. You talked about fitness and working out. It's building the muscle because, and again, I know we've talked about it, that naturally as humans, we want to take the easy way. So it's like, yeah, the easy way is, oh, I fucked up. I'll just, whatever. I won't even try anymore. Right. Because that's easy. It's an easy way out. But it does take, like you said, it takes that grit and that realization and something that I mentioned to you, becoming a watcher, right? It's like an outer body experience where you're like, oh, that's a negative thought. No, I can't, right? You're aware that that thought is there. And that's a part that you have to train yourself to accept because it's like holding a mirror to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, why are you saying that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like in that moment, and it could just be for that moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I flubbed a line. Fuck it. Okay, I got to keep going.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, it's taking away the time to do more takes.
Yeah.
Because I was in a class recently and they were going and the guy got in his head and he was like, what the fuck is my line? And he just like snaps, right?
Oh my God.
I know. And again, we're emotional creatures as actors, right? And it was a heavy scene, you know, maybe he was doing a method thing and he just reacted from the character's point of view. I don't know. I can't speak on it. I wasn't him. I'm not him. But it took time from his scene partner, of course, but it also took time for them to be able to come back together and just send it and just do a good scene, right? Because he allowed his ego, he allowed that, what is it called? It's not ancestor mind, but there's like a term because our brains are so old. Anyways, I can't think of it, but he allowed that like older mentality mind to just take an easy way, and the easy way was just like screaming and yelling and, you know, whatever, versus being like, go, keep going, let's stay in character, here we go, okay, got it, all right, and moving on. And now it's easier said than done. Now I'm just rambling, so I hope I'm still making my point, but easier said than done. But again, I agree with you, it's like building that muscle to get to that point, and it's not easy. And I think that's where a lot of people think that, right? They're like, oh, okay, Regina, you're so lucky. Or, oh, Gissette, even for me, they're like, oh, Gissette, why you have such good work ethic. And how are you able to do that? And I'm like, same thing. If you met me when I will say my mother was strong. She still is, right? She played a big part in that. But again, trauma, it's a thing.
She don't mess around.
Right.
I'm scared of her. I'll do anything she tells me to do.
You're like, yes, my
yes,
son.
yes, my.
But again, like if you met me when I was 21 compared to, you know, me right now, two totally different people. I tell John that all the time. I was like, I don't know if we would have dated when I was, you know, maybe, but but you know what I mean? Only because I knew who I was. And it's like you know what I mean? It's just totally different. And I don't know. I'm just rambling now, but I'm agreeing with what you're saying, that it does take that grit and grind and that awareness, which I think is key. A lot of people aren't, or at least a lot of people don't seem to be aware of things.
Yeah. They're very much me instead of just being like open. And also I want to add, like, there's the acting technique side of things, and then there's just the life and who you are side of things. So I think that's what we're touching on here is like how you operate as a human translates over to everything that you do. And then so similarly, like for fitness stuff, I'm a kickboxing coach now, but like I didn't grow up with sports. I grew up a fat kid. I'm still a fat kid at heart.
No,
it's a problem. I made you get me a Danish girl. Like I was on the way here, and I had already eaten a huge breakfast and a smoothie. Anyway, but it you know, I found kickboxing in 2018, and it was a joke. Like it was so bad. I was the laughing, like they'd be like, why do you look like a dead cockroach when you're doing
no?
Anyway, yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. But you know, just because I didn't have any of those things in my life before doesn't mean I can't build up the mental strength and the physical strength to get to where you didn't even know you could be. So that's why I love like my warriors in the morning. And I love building communities everywhere I go, because I think that's also very critical, having the community of the right people. Because I have met a lot of other people that I've had to like build some distance. They're not bad people. I'm just such a sponge that if they are like negative Nancy's or something, they will drag all the energy away from me where I could be using it to move forward or to give to someone who needs it more, who can be lifted from it, rather than someone who hoards it and stays in where they're supposed to be. Again, no one's a bad person. No one has malintent. Like, it's just that they're not right for everybody.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, community. And then like, I don't know, just, it's important to believe in yourself, but I think it's important to have people around you who believe in you just as much as you believe in yourself. Like, we can't do it alone. We're not made to do things alone for anything, except for anything. Yeah. Like, truly, you know, I like my alone. I'm an introvert. It doesn't seem like it, but we're like, I'm an introvert. I like to recharge by myself. But my God, is it important to have people that you finally allow to give space to be good for you. Because otherwise, because especially in the acting community industry, it's like it's such a vulnerable space, and you can so easily be just beaten down. Every no answer you get from the audition is a rejection, essentially. But I don't even think about it. Similar, like we were talking about this, like just let it go, whatever, you know, until we find the funny stuff. We can talk about again.
I like what you said too about like the people you're around, the right people you're around, but also having to distance yourself from certain individuals, not because they're bad, but just because of the way they make you feel. And I think that's so key, because I know we've both experienced it, but because, and I know I'm bringing it back to acting, but I think it's also good in life in general, even if you're not an actor or performer or creative, but because acting is so human, our day-to-day life affects our work so much.
Yeah.
As far as what we're capable of doing, what we feel like doing, what we're able to feel. I recently in the class had to play a character who, you know, she had her childhood trauma, grew up in a poor family, moves to this, you know, white collar area, starts working for a law firm, but she still feels, you know, like a lower class individual. She feels like everybody's being mean to her. So she created this masculine leading wall to protect herself, to basically hurt others before she got hurt, because she was already so torn down. Like, because she's already so torn down. And with that, it made me realize, like, oh, that makes sense, right? Because if you're around people that make you feel hurt, and I don't say make you feel hurt, but you yourself feel hurt by some of the things that they do. Again, like you said, not saying that they're a bad person, but it's just how they make you feel in that moment in life. It may not be the same 2 years from now, but you can become guarded or hardened or sad. And that in turn affects everything else, you know. But it was studying that character that kind of put that point of view into perspective a little bit deeper. And it allowed me to open up. Like, once I realized, I was like, oh, wait, okay, I get it now. I was able to play her with more depth. And I was able to be a full vessel to that character, because I understood what she was going through based on things that I've experienced in my own life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
have like all these images in my head. I'm like, okay, let me put this here, put that there. I'm talking about here.
But it's like we were talking about like life experiences, you know, obviously you don't have to have the same exact background, but it helps to fuel, to be the vessel, like to bring this character to life and all the things that they've been through. Yeah.
And I kind of went off topic, but I want to, because I started rambling, going back to what you said about like leaving certain people. I think that's just an important trait to have in general, and being okay with it. Because I know you're a very kind person, you know. You're like, I have my days. Oh yeah. If it's a Monday, it's questionable.
Thursday.
Yeah. Saturday, maybe. But it's being okay with, and this is irrelevant but relevant to the acting and entertainment industry, but it's like being okay with separating yourself from individuals and not making yourself feel bad about it. Because your mental sanity is just as important. Yeah.
We can't control how other people feel or think. So, I mean, I try to control that all the time still, but I have to, again, the discipline of shutting that down, be like, hey, let it go. And then I told you recently this, I saw a quote that says, be okay with being the villain in someone else's story. I thought that was so powerful because even if we can be as good of a person as we can be, we're human. Life sucks, shit happens, someone's gonna hate you for whatever reason it is. You just let it go. Let it go. It's not worth it.
Yeah, you reminded me of another quote that I saw where it said, if you're friends with everyone, you're lying to yourself.
Oh, it used to be me. I will attest to that. It's so true.
You're like, yes. And I thought about it. I was like, oh man, it's the same concept, right? Because you're always going to be a villain in somebody's story. But if you're telling yourself like everybody loves me, like I'm friends with everybody, then it's either, yes, you're lying to yourself about that because you don't want to see that people actually can dislike you. But then also there's a possibility that you're lying to yourself in regards to who you are, because then you're shape shifting to be friends with everybody. Yeah. Which
then who are you really?
Yeah. Oh man, I love that. So dramatic. But moving on.
So I'm like, you guys are talking way too long. How long has it been?
I just wanted to check in. I was like making sure.
Might have to split this into 10 other sessions. No. I could talk forever.
So you have an agent, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What was your process of finding said agent? And this is something more so like if anybody's watching this and they're like, how do I get an agent?
Oh my God, they're the only ones who would take me. I'm so honest. Like I you know, there are people who are like, pick, you know, someone good or whatever. And then like the first rejection I got, I was like, oh crap. I just got to submit to everybody and maybe someone will take me. So AMT was the only one who took me. Everyone else turned me down.
I think that's so great though. I feel like that's great because they wanted you.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm not upset that people turn me down. Yeah. I was like, oh, thank God somebody wanted me. Like that's how I operate in life anyway. So, like when I'm coaching kickboxing or is like going to I have a scene study group, you know, like when anyone even just shows up the next time, I'm like, oh, you still want to be here with me? I'm like, thank you so much. They're like, thank you for putting this together.
You're like, no, but thank you
for coming. But and I really feel that way. I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful. Like when you're like, you want to do this podcast, I'm like, you want me? You sure you want me? You're like, yes.
But that's also key too. And I feel like I probably said that so many times, but when it comes to looking for an agent and a manager, it's like you want somebody that wants you because they're going to fight for you. Right. And that's important in this industry.
You're going to get a lot of no's.
Yeah.
You just need one. You just need one yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're going to be the ones negotiating for you. They're going to be the ones submitting you. They're going to be the ones pitching you. And it's like if you get with somebody just because of a name, then you're just, you know, sometimes, not always, but you'll just be added into the pool of talent and you'll get lost in the sauce, as they say.
I love your little like.
But yeah, so if you had to say something to your younger self, what would it be?
Oh, that sounded so Chinese for a second. Oh, let me see. I don't know. I think the first thing that comes to mind is keep going.
I like that.
Like I have no regrets. I'm someone who operates on no regrets. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, and I also have done good, you know, wonderful things. And there's a balance. But I would just say keep going. I wouldn't change any of it. Yeah, because I just operate with my heart all the time, and it's kind of stupid because I don't think before I act a lot of the times. I'm not talking about acting, just like life in general. I don't think before I do, but I have no regrets, and yeah, I would say keep going. It was funny. I shot an indie short recently, and they were like, it was on Dementia and stuff, and it was like a heartfelt moment. I know this is sidetracking, but they were like, if you could say something to your granduncle again, like, what would it be? I said, go sooner. Just like let it go. Don't hang on for us. Like, and everyone else who like gave an answer was like, love you so, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. My attitude is always like, you already know I care and love you so much. And I know some people who want to say that maybe they didn't get their last word in or all that stuff. So I'm not disrespecting what they're saying. It just made me think of, I was like, just go. Yeah. Why are you hanging on? Just go. You're suffering. Yeah. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Everyone was like, oh my God. She's like, dark. Like,
who casted her?
I can get dark sometimes.
But I know your personality, right? Yeah. So it makes sense. But then also, like you said, it's because you appreciated every moment you had with them. So it's like there was nothing missed for you, right? Never. You were grateful. You enjoyed every second all the way up until the end. Yep. Right. And it was like, I think it's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just trying.
That's all we can do in life.
Yes.
We're humans.
Like, try not to lick the microphone. I have touched this thing. 2 minutes too close. Okay. I'm sweating.
It gets hot in there. It gets hot in here. No, but I love what you said, though, as far as keep going. Yeah. Because I think I'll add on to that, too, because I asked myself the question. No, I'm joking. But keep going. But then also it's not that serious. Like, I think as performers, and even in life, just like life in general, right? We get into this state where something happens. Like on set, we were talking about, flubbing a line or forgetting a line or, looking in a camera. It's like we get set in this idea of life is over, just because of that one thing happened. But you said it so beautifully of you learn from it, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
Like, as long as you learn from that moment, that is a positive moment, even though it may seem negative when you're going through it. The long run, think about it. It's like, okay, well, you learned from that negative moment. And if that negative moment never happened, you wouldn't have learned. And you probably would eventually come across it down the road.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How else does anyone grow? There's no growth if you don't fuck something up. Yeah. And I also would add one more thing is keep calm. Always. Like, shit's gonna hit the fan, and it's like, just let it. I'm literally looking like the shit's flying. I got a bird shit on my head the other day when I was walking, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep calm, and I'm gonna walk home, and I'm not gonna touch it or check to see if it actually happened. It fucking happened. It was bad. And that shit stank. Like, it was bad.
You're like, I'm going to keep calm. Yeah. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, because it's happened already. But, like, some people, like, in acting or in life, it's like they freak out or they lash out or they're aggressive. You get nothing accomplished doing that. I mean, I understand it's a human emotion. Like, go do that later. But if you need a problem solve, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Keep calm. Breathe. And then reassess, because usually with a clearer mind you make a better choice. But I mean, I'm not saying I do that all the time. I just try my best to do it.
Yeah,
we're all human.
Aware of it. Yeah. They say if a bird shits on you, it means good luck.
I'm still waiting for the luck. Hello, I am ready to receive this was like 2 weeks ago. Please. And then I like hurt my neck the next week. Remember? I pulled my back. I couldn't move. I like had to talk like this. Like, I was coaching kickboxing, and I was like, do as I say, not as I do, because I cannot do. Like, it was so bad. But yeah, I'm still waiting.
That was so fast.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting.
Yes.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Regina, thanks for joining us on the TAGR podcast.
Of course. Anytime to hang out with you, goddess.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now we get to watch it back and judge ourselves.